Thank you for tuning in to Not Church, where we encourage people to think. This is Monday morning. I'm just getting ready to go in this gym and get it. Gotta hit these weights. I want to start my week out strong. I'm already tired. I feel like I got allergies coming on and might be a little bit. It seems like when it gets cloudy or something, I deal with that quite a bit. But enough about me. It has been my life mission and goal to discover God for myself. And when I discover certain revelations, I share it. Hopefully it can be a blessing to someone or some people and encourage you to know God better for yourself. I'm not trying to get you to think the way I do or believe it exactly the way I do, but I am trying to get you to think, and I'm trying to get you to a place where you see God in ways that you have not seen God. But during that message, applaud yourself. I took a turn in it. I wasn't planning to take a turn. And it took a slight turn over into insecurity in the church. And so I wanted to just share my opinion about what I think is taking place in the area of insecurity in the church, because there is a lot of insecurity in the church. And I believe that insecurity, it permeates from in the church and it goes outside of the church. And you have a lot of insecurities in families and in church families and in communities, because we internalize a lot of these things and we implode as a people. We start targeting each other, and it's tough because we mask a lot of what we deal with individually and focus on other people's supposed problems or weaknesses or whatever they're dealing with, it, and all in a plight to bring ourselves higher, to make ourselves feel like we're better. And I think that this was bred into the black community, bred into the black race, and it is a problem. Now, I'm sharing much of this is my opinion. It is based on historical facts. You can check behind me. And I guarantee you, when you do the research, you're going to find out that in the first churches, the first black churches, that is, the slave master handpicked the reverends. And when he would handpick the reverends, this is a historical fact, he and or whomever he assigned would sit in the back of the congregation of the black church, because they didn't commingle with the white churches because it wasn't allowed. Race mixing wasn't allowed. Integration was not allowed. So what they did is they, allowed the slaves to build their own small churches. They would be just like little shacks, and they would be their sanctuaries, and they would be their places of worship. And the slave owners would, or the powers that be at this time, would sit in the back of the church with shotguns, ready to shoot the reverend and or anybody that got out of line. If he began to say anything to empower or instigate running or separation or any type of self-empowerment of any kind, then the slave master would check the slave and put the slave in order. And because the slave was afraid to die and afraid to lose his family or afraid to be separated, he had to submit to the slave master. This is historical fact that it happened. So if you can imagine the insecurity that came from that alone, is very traumatic. It's a part of Christian history in the black community in terms of the black church. And it's something that needs to be addressed. That's never been addressed. It's been covered up and it's been passed down, quite frankly, to many churches. Again, now this part is really my opinion. I can't really prove this, but you can deduct that these things are probably true. That in many churches of the South, in these deep pockets where a lot of the Christian churches are and are established, these churches still hold true to some of the traditions of their past because that's all they know. And so some of these ideals, attitudes, microaggressions, way of life, way of thinking, they still are present in these churches. Even the spirit and the climate of the old church is still there. In many of them, you can feel it when you go into the churches. And maybe that's a part of this big fiasco. Maybe that's a part of the game, is to keep that same energy that was there. But it's an energy that is rooted in insecurity. That's number one. I want to say that. The other thing is, when we talk about the books of blessings and cursings, known as the Deuteronomistic history books, and these books talk about blessings and cursings of God. And they talk about, in the Old Testament, if you follow God, obey God, honor God, then God would bless you. But if you did not do these things, God would not bless you. In fact, God would curse you if you didn't. And God would not only take what you have, but God would not allow you to prosper. And God would allow the enemy to come in and steal your spoils, steal your riches, steal the blessings. So it was like God was reasoning with God's people at this time. And God would say, if you serve me with your whole heart and give, then I will bless you. If not, I'm going to curse you. So that thinking, if it's not balanced, it will totally mess somebody up. It would totally mess somebody up, because when you start talking about a people who really historically, materially, not had a lot, you not had a lot in terms of the slice of the American pie, if you will, then these people are going to scrap. They're going to do whatever they can to get to the top, and they're going to step on whoever they need to step on. They're going to kick. Now, this is if these scriptures are misunderstood. They're going to kick who they got to kick. They're going to say, we love you. I love you, sister. But in the back of your mind, you thinking, I'm getting ready to get these blessings from God, but they going to get cursed. And so then you will start categorizing the people whom you think need to be cursed and blessed. And I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake, because it causes people to be insecure about what God is doing in their lives. It may not be God's will for you to be a millionaire. Are you okay with that? And if you are not a millionaire, does that mean God is not blessing you? If you comparing it to the Christian that's sitting next to you that is a millionaire, you may tend to think that you're not blessed. Can some insecurity set in because of that? What if the person sitting next to you has a job, and that person is making $80,000 or is making $150,000 a year to your $40,000 a year? Is that person blessed and you're not? Would that make you feel insecure to know that that person is making double of what you're making, and he's serving the same God, she's serving the same God that you serve? I think insecurity could set in due to that. And so, when you think about the books, the blessings and cursing books, you have to re-examine the way you look at that in order to eradicate the insecurity. And so this and many other things I want to deal with. I think I'll take maybe one more message to talk a little bit more about this, just to kind of prick your soul a little bit in this area, and it calls us to think a little bit more about this. But we need to get rid of this insecurity stuff. because it gets in the way of people coming together truly under God, like with no motives, with nothing connected to that but just God. And we want to, we just want to deal with all that. We want to deal with all the tough stuff. We want to get in the mud. We want to, we want to wrestle. We want to get down there and get in there and dig some things out and just examine some things and allow God to work some therapy on us, right? Because we all could use a little bit of that. God is our master therapist. Let's let God do. Now, I'm not saying that to say you don't need a person, because God works through people too that provide excellent therapy. There's nothing wrong with that, Black community. Don't be insecure because you need a little therapy. Many of us need to get our emotions balanced a little bit because we out of whack. And sometimes when we talk to somebody, it helps bring some equilibrium to our minds. Okay? So thank you for tuning in to this session of Not Church. And thank you for being a part of a family that know what they believe and why they believe it. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Till we meet again.